What the fuck is up? It is your host, Erica Nalen, and welcome back to another episode of the Hangover series. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Hangover series. I'm so happy you're here. Take a deep breath with me. Today we're going to be a Substack article. I haven't been one in a long time, but we're going to be one today. Audiobooks are back. I have been going through a lot of emotions recently, and especially like the past year of my life. So much has changed, so much has happened that I haven't talked about, and it's just been a lot. And I have my ups and downs, and I feel like some weeks have been better than others, but at the moment I am just in a space where I'm just like not happy with a lot of things going on in my life, if I'm being completely honest. And like the one thing that I feel happy about is the podcast and making content and that sort of thing. That is where I like truly feel happiest, and like that is the only thing that has been making me feel good recently. And it used to be the podcast and content and then like a ton of other things, but I feel like I've just had a ton thrown at me this past year with like friendship breakups. I've had a lot of things with friends happen, a lot of betrayal, a lot of people cut out of my life that I never thought would be cut out of my life, and a lot of things just happen where I had to set a lot of boundaries. Boundaries were just missed, and just a lot happened that it's been a lot. And so I feel like in a sense it's kind of reflected on the pod, and maybe it hasn't, but I just feel like sometimes I can't think of funny shit to even say because I'm having the worst day ever, or I've had like such a bad week, or I've cried like 4 times in a week, and I'm just like, I can't. And I just went to Florida, which we're gonna get into next week, but I was busy all week, and then I got back to New York and some things happened, and I just haven't been feeling like I'm able to laugh, if I'm being completely honest. I've just been like, I can't even make shit up right now. So we're going to be a Substack article because I honestly feel like when I wrote this article, it's kind of still how I'm feeling. And this was one of my more vulnerable pieces that I wrote. And I wanted to share it with you guys because it's how I'm feeling, and it's just the emotions that are coming to the surface. So we're going to read that today. I hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, we're going to get better. Like, it's not like I'm like, this is the worst time ever. I've been watching TikTok, and it's like, you're going to lose everything and you're going to go through the worst fucking shit before the good comes. So I just keep telling myself that. I'm like, okay, everything's going to be okay. We're going to be so fine. We're just in a big life-changing rut. But everything's going to be fine, and we're going to get back on our toes and persevere, or whatever the word is. But I'm going to read this Substack article to you guys. Maybe you can relate, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So this article is called "I Finally Left My Hometown, but it didn't feel how I thought it would." And it's for anyone who's chased the dream but wasn't warned about this part. I just hit my 2-month mark of living in New York City, a moment that I honestly still can and can't believe is real. My 8-year-old self inside of me is saying, wait, we don't have to lie to people during recess saying we're from New York anymore? We live there? My 18-year-old self is saying, I'm so happy we got out. And my current self, if I'm being completely honest, is so incredibly happy I'm finally here. But in a way, I think my expectations for everything that would happen right when I got here were too high. Because now I'm sitting in the reality of being in a city I've dreamed about forever, with all these plans, and none of them happening immediately. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with New York. I would daydream about moving here, wearing a fake fur pink coat, huge sunglasses, and strutting my stuff down the streets. I couldn't wait to be here doing just that. I daydreamed about how cute the guys would be, the job I would have, all the clothes I would be buying. I couldn't wait to make that my life. At that point, I had only been to New York City twice, once when I was around 3, which I don't remember, and once when I was around 8, and I remember everything. We rode a double-decker bus, the coolest moment ever. I literally felt like Raven Simone was speaking to me. I walked on that famous piano from a movie, went to a huge toy store, went to Carlos Bakery. We saw people filming everywhere, and I was absolutely obsessed. But then when I was around 16, I still had that New York dream, but I began modeling. An agent told me that I was never going to be tall enough to model in New York City, but maybe a market like Chicago would work for me, and I could do commercial print there. My family and I ended up going to Chicago for a college audition for my older sister, and the entire time I was thinking about how this place was a better market for me to model in. So naturally, I fell in love. I thought, this place has tall buildings, and it was bigger than anything I had ever seen in Nebraska, so I started to think maybe Chicago would be for me. At the time, I was obsessed with modeling, and I would do anything, move anywhere to achieve this dream. Then, when I was a senior in high school, my mom and I drove down to Chicago to tour colleges and go to every single open casting call. I think there were around 10. My mom really encouraged me to get a college degree, but I was just there to live out my modeling dream. I walked in with so much confidence, met with agents, gave them my book, and left feeling proud. They all told me to come back once I lived there, so I immediately started applying to a couple of the colleges we had toured. As soon as I started getting accepted into the colleges, I quickly realized how much they would cost. Was I really going to pay $80,000 a year to go to a college I didn't care about just to try and live out my modeling dream in Chicago? I asked my mom if she could pay that, and she looked at me like I was insane, so I knew my answer. Move to Chicago with basically $0 in my bank account and no degree, or stay in my hometown, go to a local college, live at home, and model locally. As much as my 18-year-old self begged, cried, and tried to rationalize the first option, my mom brought me back to reality and explained why the second option would benefit me in the long run. So that's what I did. My mom and I moved into a new house, my first time moving out of my childhood home. So, as weird as this sounds, I honestly felt like I was getting somewhat of a moving into college situation. I started to take modeling seriously, and when I mean seriously, I mean seriously. I stopped fake tanning and let my natural pale skin show. I dyed my hair the color my agent wanted, blonde highlights. I bought a $2,000 personal trainer. I went gluten-free. I drank apple cider vinegar every morning, and I auditioned for every single job that came through. I kept telling myself, I'm building my book, and once I graduate college, I can move to Chicago and finally live out my modeling dream. 4 years later, I graduated college, finally, and immediately started applying to every job you could think of. I ended up getting a fully remote job, and within 1 week of working there, I had signed my lease to move to Chicago. I was so excited. I couldn't believe I was finally going to get to live out my modeling dreams. I went in to meet with my agent, so excited to tell her it was finally happening, take digitals, and start setting up meetings. She was so excited for me at first. She told me all the agencies I could meet with and said to come back a week before I left so we could take digitals and send me out. I went back a week before I left thinking this was a pinch me moment, but it turned into one of my biggest letdowns. She looked at me and told me she thought I had gained too much weight. She measured me and said I was in between plus size and the size they would need me to be, and that she wouldn't send me to meet with any agencies. I actually felt something in me break this day. Everything I had done for that exact moment wasn't enough. I got to Chicago feeling absolutely lost and let down. I had waited my whole life for this moment, and the one thing I wanted to do there, I was told wouldn't happen, all because I had gained weight. And honestly, that was something I had never been told before. I got there feeling angry. Angry that I didn't eat gluten for this moment, that I spent $2,000 on a personal trainer for this moment, that I spent thousands of dollars on photo shoots for this moment, that I stayed in my hometown for that long for this moment. And now that moment wasn't even happening. I lived in Chicago for 2 years, but honestly, it reminded me that I was never supposed to be there in the first place. My dream was New York. I went to Chicago because someone told me I wasn't suited for New York City, that I wouldn't make it there, but I would in Chicago. And then that same person told me I wouldn't make it in Chicago either. I had listened to someone else's opinion of what was meant for me and turned that into my entire dream. So after 2 years, I said fuck all that and moved to New York City. And this isn't to put all the blame on an agent, but it is to say that when I felt like I was doing the most, it was never being seen, and then when I stopped doing the most, I had the most eyes on me. Now, here I am. Do I have my dream job yet? No. Do I have a modeling agency? No. Do I have money to be splurging on a huge pink fur coat? No. But did I listen to myself and go after my dream? Yes. Did I stop restricting myself from food I actually wanted to eat? Yes. Do I drink apple cider vinegar every morning? Hell fucking no. And I never needed to be doing any of that anyway. Through all of this, I realized that's all I'll ever need. So if you have a dream, go chase it, but don't let someone else define what that dream is supposed to look like for you. So that was my Substack article. I feel shy after I read these out loud for some reason, but yeah, that has kind of been how I've been feeling so far. I feel like I got here and as I think a lot of people probably that move to a new city and have all these dreams that they want to achieve, you get there and you're eager and excited, and then you're like, wait, what am I doing? There's so many people, there's just so much going on, and it's a lot harder than you think. But yeah, in case anyone, relates or feels that way, know that I do too. Know that we're in this together. And as much as every day, sometimes I just want to quit going after what it is that I want. And a lot of times I'm like, is this embarrassing? Are people judging me? Am I going to regret this one day? Is this affecting my life? There's so many thoughts that go through my head every day, especially recently. But just, I'm going to encourage you, as I'm also encouraging myself, to just keep going. And I think it'll get better. And go chase your dreams, because no one's going to chase them for you. And I truly believe that. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next week. Bye.